Good day everyone and welcome to yet another episode of CARtalk Extra. Today we have with us a local celebrity, someone who knows a lot about every aspect of his trade. None other than Mr. Abbas from Ansons Traders. Welcome Mr. Abbas, welcome to CARtalk Extra.
Hi, thank you very much for having me here, and I hope I can teach you something new today.
Hopefully, you always do. So Abbas has been with us for a long time and he has a wealth of knowledge in every product and line he deals in. There's a lot of things that we can talk about with him, but for the moment we are going to concentrate on something that's very, very important and something that we've not been able to have a chat about for some time, because we've spoken a lot about nano coatings and that line of paint protection, but the age-old cut and polish, that's something we need to address as well. So Abbas here has some good experience in that field. Alright Abbas, so say I was to bring my car to you and I want a cut and polish done. Now I'm like assuming I have no previous experience in getting a cut and polish. It's my first time. So one of my friends said your paint is looking bad, your car is looking a little off center. So he says, you know, Machang, it's time to get a cut and polish done. So I come to you. What do you do?
Okay, so the first thing is, a lot of people ask us to do kind of estimate or say that you can get this car fixed over the phone. First thing is, you must always physically look at your vehicle, right? I would ask you a simple question: is your car resprayed or is it factory paint? Most people in our country do not know whether the paint is being resprayed or it's an original paint condition, because it's sometimes very difficult to tell if it has been professionally resprayed. I remember many years ago we had a customer where his car was blue in color and he spent extra money on this, but to see it has been resprayed in Japan and the original color is red. So you see, when it's so well done, we don't know. So the first thing you would do is, when I would get a vehicle from you, let's say for example, or anybody's vehicle, is I would take something called a paint thickness gauge. It is a specialist tool where you can place it on the surface of the car and you can a measurement of how many microns is it. So let's say for example, if you take a Mercedes-Benz, if the paint is usually thicker, let's say 135 to 145 microns is my expectation, up to a maximum of 170 microns. Right? If it is a Malaysian made vehicle, it would be about 100 to 110 microns. If it is a Chinese vehicle, it would be different. If it is an Indian vehicle, it would be different. So depending on the positioning of the paint or positioning of the car manufacturer, the quality of paint they use and the thickness of the paint varies greatly. So it is very good to see. Now for example, I remember there was a Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Looks beautiful. And I felt that this panel was not right. So then I took the gauge, I put it in to see 300 microns. So you know there's a lot of filler in that panel. And when the paint is so thick, then you can be more enthusiastic about removing the defects. What I urge any detailer or any person even using our tools and systems is, first inspect your car and then based on that advise you on how you should correct your paint. I would think that would be the correct move as a first step.
Right. So then how do you go about doing paint corrections? Now when you mentioned something about paint correction, and that was a term that you mentioned, and as I understood, the thicker the paint is, the more paint you have, the more freedom you have to take off layers of paint. So if so, how do you go about doing that? Do you do that with a cutting compound or?
Right. So I would like to correct you in what you just asked. You cannot remove layers of paint. So in the paint you have the metal layer, then you have the primers, then you have the color coat, and then you have the clear coat. Right?
Correct.
And we are only looking at this final clear coat. So in that, if you have very deep scratches, there is very little you can do. Right? That, to be very honest, unless you are really knowing what you are doing, very little that can be done. If you are having light scratches and swirls, very easy to fix. Right? If you are having marring marks, that is another type of defect. Orange peel is considered to be a type of defect. You have something called holograms. You have the little pits, your acid rain etching onto your clear coat. So depending on the severity of the damage, we will select the correct system to work on your car to achieve the final result. So let's say for example your car is extremely bad condition, then you do something called wet or damp sanding. You can use machine sanding, especially with the Rupesh sanding system as well, where we have special discs which basically allow you to remove imperfections without flattening the paint. Right? It's called X-cut. Then we have another system where it's a compound, where you can start with wool. Wool is a very traditional material but has extreme cutting efficiency. So in our paint conditions and our environment, wool is one of the better materials to choose based on personal experience. There are some people who prefer microfiber technology as well. Those two are the main competitors in heavy cutting. So you start with a heavy cut compound with a heavy cut pad with either a rotary tool or alternative system, whichever you prefer, to start the first stage of paint correction. Then the second step is, depending on how much of this imperfection you have removed, you either go to a medium, fine or ultra fine compound to finish it. So you can either go with a 4-step correction system, which is very time consuming. You can do a single step correction, which will get you a final result, but you have to understand those single step products usually have a lot of fillers and oils in it. So once you cut and polish the vehicle, the entire surface will look glossy and very slick, and you'll have this wet shine, but in 2 weeks all these fillers will get washed off and your car will look like it was the first day itself. And the third thing is that you can do a 2-step or 3-step correction, all depending on your paint situation. So through experience, we have special charts where you can analyze the situation depending on how severe the scratches are. We normally take a test panel, and on that section we check whether that paint compound works perfectly or not, what combinations work. You can easily estimate your car's correction requirements and get a final result, and we can advise you on how many hours it will take.
How often should we cut a car, or how many times can we cut a car before we have to go for a respray?
So what we say is, within a course of 10 years, let's assume a lifespan of a car is generally less than 10 years in other countries. In Sri Lanka, if we purchase a vehicle, it is like a life investment. I mean, you may have to sell kidneys and lungs to even purchase a decent car in our country based on our prices. So when you buy a car, it is absolutely your life revolves around that vehicle. That's what a car enthusiast does in Sri Lanka. They buy a car and they will try their very best to look after it to the best of their ability. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what is best for their car. So what happens is, in 10 years, we would recommend you cut and polish your car for extreme correction thrice. After that, it's recommended not to cut it as much, rather you polish it. And in between, for maintenance, you can use something called a clay bar. We have this product called Wonder Clay, which is a really fun product to use, which removes decontamination. So what happens is, when you look at a car, you always think your car looks dull, but it's actually having this entire layer of impurities, dirt, bonded to the paint. Whereas if no matter how much you cut it, you can't remove it. So you have to mechanically remove it. Sometimes you have white cars which look very faded and dirty, so you can use an iron product which basically dissolves the embedded rust in your paint. You spray it, the entire car turns purple, and you can remove all the imperfections there. We do a brand called IGL coatings. In that they have an iron remover. So that can be used in this regard. So cutting and polishing is like the ultimate solution. You can decontaminate chemically, you can decontaminate mechanically, you can use sealants to fill up the imperfections. So this intermediate maintenance should be done within the span of 3 years or 4 years of your 2 major cut and polishers.
Alright, Abbas, now that I've had a cut and polish done, I'm interested in preserving my paint, or I'm interested in making sure that the shine lasts for a long time.
Right.
And there are so many products in the market. You have your sealants, your waxers, and of course what everyone's talking about these days, the nano coatings, the ceramic coatings. What do I do? How do I make sure that the shine doesn't fade?
The first thing which was invented to protect a car's paint from the damaging effects of the sun was wax. It's a natural product, and you have this wax called Carnauba Wax, and that is the most effective at protecting your paint. Unfortunately, in the last 10 years, we have now acid rain, the industrial fallout, pollution in the sky has increased. So these waxes, which were supposed to last 6 to 8 months, now last not more than 2 to 3 weeks in our environmental conditions. Taking a very high-end wax, it may last 2 to 3 months, right? So imagine wax is the most basic thing you can apply to your paint. Then there was the invention of synthetic sealants. Synthetic sealants brought this technology, modified it, added polymers into it, and basically increased the durability of a wax. So polymer sealant was the first revolutionary product with so many qualities which people desired. It lasted more than 3-4 months. It had this hydrophobic effect. So there are two effects in a paint. One is called hydrophobic effect and one is called the sheeting effect of water. So hydrophobic means the water turns into a little ball and rolls off the surface, something like a lotus leaf.
Correct.
And sheeting effect is where the entire water moves off as a complete sheet of your paint. And the craze, everybody wants hydrophobic. That ball rolling off the surface is like a very exciting thing to watch. And watching your car in the rain excites people. And this water is just running away. So it's like really desirable quality from the customer's point of view, right? So this is where the polymer sealant technology allowed you to achieve these things. And it also has a very deep gloss, and you have three types of gloss. You have a wet shine, silk satin shine, and you have a wet look shine. And you have hard shine, rather 4 types of shine, and there are many more sub-categories. So each product has its qualities. And maximum shine means minimum durability. That was how the ratios were. If you want something which lasts very, very long, you can't get ultimate gloss. But if you have something to be super shiny, the gloss won't last as long as you want.
Right.
And that is where you would come and maintain it with a quick detail, a spray or a booster or a shine additive product where it has no abrasives inside it, just gloss. So that is where your sealant technology is. Ceramic coating is the latest cutting edge technology which has come out, and it has many types involved. You have something called very affordable ceramic coatings, and you have ultra premium coating. And in that you have several characteristics. One is chemical resistance, scratch resistance, which is measured on a pencil hardness scale. The evolution to that is flexible coatings. It's not a rigid surface, rather the coating moves with the temperatures and moves with the paint. Because remember, your car is parked out in the environment. It is continuously expanding and contracting depending on the temperature. So you have flexible coatings, there are nanotechnology in it, and those products give you 1 year plus of durability, and they sacrifice themselves to protect your paint. So if you are not somebody who likes to wash your car every weekend or doesn't want to every 3 months reapply a product personally or at a car wash or at a detailing center, then you would be going into the ceramic technologies. And the prices in this vary phenomenally, the gloss levels vary, the effects which the products offer vary, and it's basically you have a million choices. So, but you must also understand the preparation, the quality of workmanship, the time required. All this must be, the car must be prepared absolute perfection. A correct degreaser should be used on it or a pre-coat product, and then only the ceramic coating can be applied. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess this up royally. So going to a proper ceramic coating application specialist is very important. Whereas with the wax and sealant, you can easily remove it with surgical spirit or isopropyl alcohol or a degreaser like pre-coat. But you are allowed to play around, you can try different products, you can try different waxes, and you can basically experience different types of things without having much thought put into it. Where the ceramic coating is more like a permanent solution to help you for 1 to 3 years period is what we estimate. Some products claim 5 years and 7 years. I always tell people that I don't think I'll live that long, so I really don't know. So you or rather your car may not last as long because you will have an accident in that time frame. So the thing is, don't think about it for so many years, rather think about it from a 3-year block. It would be more sensible and more practical. So
Right. Thank you, Abbas. Your insights into the whole field of waxing and cutting and even a bit of ceramic coating has been invaluable, because we always wanted to see, we've covered so much about nano coating over the last few weeks, but this insight into the world of waxing and cutting we haven't been able to really concentrate on. So you've given us a lot of information, a lot of insight that actually helps us think more or think further before we go into something like this. So it has been a pleasure, Abbas. Thank you so much.
thank you very much, and I hope that we demystified many aspects of this subject, and there is so much more to this topic. This is a very brief explanation, and if anybody wants to learn more, they're always free to get in touch, and we are always willing to teach, because we believe that to take Sri Lanka to the next level, we need passionate people as yourself. Your team behind you as well is amazing, and it's super passionate too. And as we say, build, drive, inspire. And to do that, we need people to ask questions. If you don't know something, don't be embarrassed, don't feel shy. Ask, why do I need this compound? Why do I need a polish? Why do I need this? When you start asking questions, all the detailers have to rise to the challenge and answer in a honest way, and when we have honesty in the industry, the quality of workmanship, the quality of workers, the quality of services all improve. So I really encourage everybody to ask as many questions as they want, and if I made any mistakes, you can always ask me about them in detail as well. So we are always open to discussion and open to educating you in the best way, and I'm learning every day too, so I mean it's a never ending process.
Correct. Right. So like he rightfully said, if you have more questions for him, he will answer them in kind, in the same style. So he is on board our Limitless Loyalty Rewards program, and he offers some wonderful discounts and rewards. If you are a member, head over. If you aren't a member, you definitely should be. Log into limitless.lk and follow the instructions, and we'll be glad to help you. Hi everyone. Thank you for watching. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our media partner, MediaWise Studio. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel and like this video, and also click on the bell icon below so you get notifications whenever we go online. Thank you, and build, drive, inspire.